Welcome to the Coffee Break Show this week. Like I said, my name is Ateng Emmanuel. This is House of Talent Television. Remember, you can catch us on our social media handles at HTV1, on Twitter, House of Talent Uganda live stream on our YouTube channel, or you can head up to our Facebook on House of Talent TV Uganda and make sure you catch this show. This is the show that brings you everything about coffee, from the farmers to the baristas, to the coffee drinkers, to the enthusiasts, anything and everything about coffee. Today in the studio with me is a man who has a wide span of knowledge when it comes to coffee, and not only coffee, when it comes to agriculture, and he's here to share with us his knowledge about the coffee industry. Owen, you're very welcome to the show. It's good to have you here. I know you have a wealth of experience working for Naro. I know that you also went to Israel to do your master's, and the knowledge I believe that you're going to give us here today about coffee is going to help everyone out there. Before we get deep into this show, we're just discussing about there's a thing that we have on the show about coffee myths. Some people think that when you take coffee, ABC happens. But before the show, we're discussing about a myth that I actually hadn't heard about. Okay, in Uganda, they say that coffee was used to make bullets. I don't know how true this is.
From where I come from, in Rwenzori sub-region, it's a childhood myth, and actually some elders still carry it on that coffee is used to make bullets, because basically the farmers didn't know what happens beyond their coffee, beyond after drying, what happens. They say, part of it is in making bullets. It's a myth. You should ask people from Rwenzori sub-region.
That's an interesting one. I'd actually never heard about that myth. I'd heard about other myths, but making bullets. I don't even know how you get from coffee to bullets. But yeah, I mean, those are the things that us as the coffee enthusiasts really need to clear. And I liked how you said that, it came from the farmers and they don't know what happens beyond the farm, and I believe that is a good place for us to start at. We have had people on the show and we have basically talked about where coffee begins, from getting the seed, putting it into the ground, from the nursery bed to the farm, then all the way down to the coffee drinker, from tree to cup, as they usually say it. But one of the things that is actually not discussed, is the issues that are faced during that period when the coffee is growing. For example, the different coffee diseases that are there. I know that there are certain baristas, even if you ask them today what coffee diseases exist, they know nothing about them. All they know is their part as a barista, and I believe that this knowledge has to be known by them. So coming from your experience, you've worked in Naro, you've worked in Zadi, and what are some of these diseases that affect coffee, and are there some that are particular to Uganda, or it's a wide spectrum that is just affects coffee around the world?
Well, there are quite many diseases, but some are specific to species. As you know, we have two major economic species. There's Coffea arabica and then Coffea robusta. Diseases like coffee wilt disease are specific to robusta. It will never affect arabica. In Uganda, it doesn't affect arabica. But then there are diseases that are common or prevalent in arabica, like the coffee leaf rust. Not a big problem in robusta. Then there are other like coffee berry disease, coffee red blister. There are many diseases, and this is something that we would like farmers and baristas to understand. Some diseases like the berry disease, red blister, affect the quality. When these diseases affect the cherries, they dry off. But what if someone carries the same diseased cherries and sells them as chiboko? If you don't understand that this is a diseased cherry, you will think it has been dried, yet they stripped it off, mix it with the normal cherries. And it's good to know the disease, it's good to know the pests. It's the basis of the farmer, of farm management. Just like parenting, you need to know when your kid is sick of what, to tell that the kid is sick, then you seek further treatment. If you don't know the signs of flu, then you
can't treat it.
You think maybe the kid is just sneezing.
So
knowing that they are sick, knowing their plant is sick, is one step of seeking further help.
Yeah. So how do we get to know what is the process? Because if I go to the hospital and say, let me say in my mind, I think I have malaria, okay? But the doctor basically has to go through a diagnosis. They'll take some blood here, they'll take a urine test there, and at the end of the day, they will verify whether I actually have malaria or not, okay? So what is that process in coffee where you get to know which kind of disease is affecting a certain kind of coffee?
Okay, first is understanding them, is having regular talks with the extension workers, the researchers, and people who understand the diseases. A disease like coffee wilt disease, the most common, obvious symptom is dieback. Dieback is when your coffee dies from the head, that tip, it dies going down. Because coffee wilt disease is caused by fungi. Now the fungi will block nutrients and water from going up the tree.
Yeah.
That means the farthest is the one that is going to die.
Yeah.
The farthest will die and dies like that.
All the way down.
Dieback. Yeah.
It's
the commonest disease. But coffee wilt disease that does not have obvious symptoms on the cherries.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other diseases like red blister and then berry disease, they have obvious symptoms because they are specific to cherries.
Yeah.
Yeah, with a few symptoms on the leaves. Coffee leaf rust, your coffee will rust, and this is important for Arabica farmers. The coffee will have some rust under the leaf. When you turn your leaf like this, you'll see a rust.
Yeah.
Just like rust. Yeah.
Okay, so imagine I'm a farmer. Okay, I have my farm. I believe in my mind that everything is going well. Okay, then you, as Naro, come and tell me, you know what, your plants have such and such a disease. These are the symptoms. Okay, so what is the process that we would go through, okay, to help me in such a case? Because I know that there are very many farmers who actually have no idea. Okay, sometimes they say, oh, I'm cursed.
Yeah, that's another myth.
That's another myth. Okay, so sometimes I think it's a curse. So a neighbor of theirs was jealous, went to the witch doctor, and cursed their plants. But in the event that my plants, let's say, are sick, okay, what is the next step in treatment? Okay,
first, now you've seen unusual, mishap in your field.
Yeah.
Narrow does not do extension.
Okay.
But usually reaches out to the farmers because narrows, I'm not speaking for narrow, but the narrow mandate stops at dissemination. Tech development and dissemination.
Yeah.
The NADS and OWC pick it up from there because their mandate is to do extension.
Yeah.
Now, but doesn't stop me from telling you that your coffee is sick or another expert, we have NGOs that also do extension to tell you that, yeah, your coffee is sick. So after that, but you've also seen the symptom. Then you seek expert help.
Yeah.
The expert will tell you whether you need to spray, or you need to cut, or you need to use culture methods, or inorganic sprays or organic sprays.
Yeah.
If you know it, you can take it upon yourself. If, let's say, you've had an experience with the disease and it has resurfaced, you can use the previous, treatment.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the most important thing I'll emphasize on is seek expert help. Before you buy a chemical, you need to know, is this the right one? Am I going to use it right? So that you don't waste your money or you don't pre-expose yourself to, something that could be dangerous to you. Or you're trying to spray coffee wilt disease with a fungicide, and yet this disease is inside.
Yeah.
The fungi is inside. We call it the xylem and phloem. That is where the fungi is. But you're spraying the leaves and all that. It may not help. You're wasting money. You're also exposing yourself to these chemicals.
True.
So it's best you seek expert knowledge. If you don't understand, if you know a farmer who has had an experience with the same disease, ask them. Consult widely.
Yeah.
Have second and third opinions.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I'm to seek expert help, okay, I believe that there are certain avenues that I have to follow. There are certain organizations where I can seek this help. So what are some of those organizations that as a farmer I can go to?
First is narrow.
Yeah.
I'm not being biased because I've been working with narrow, but first is narrow because it's narrow that generates the technologies, generates the control measures, the varieties, and disseminates them.
Yeah.
Then there's NADS. NADS has a League of Extension Workers. There's UCDA now. UCDA controls the coffee industry, regulates the coffee industry, and they are the best people to reach out to. UCDA has extension workers actually in almost every coffee growing region. Yeah. Then there are other NGOs that are specific to coffee or specific to agriculture extension. Other NGOs like TechnoServe. Then there are private companies that are into coffee but also do extension because it's a win-win. Yeah. You don't want farmers to lose. You are cutting off your supply. So some private companies have taken it upon themselves to offer extension services. Yeah. So ask widely, but don't rely so much on Twitter or Google because you may end up getting a recommendation for Vietnam thinking it will work in Uganda. So Google, but also ask, reach out to the experts. Yeah.
Okay, you talked about UCD, the UCDA there, and I've heard from a couple of people that every time they have tried to approach UCDA, they did not get help, okay? And they're of the view that, you know what, since UCDA can't help us, we're going to do this by ourselves. How true is that? Does UCDA actually, in their mandate to regulate coffee in Uganda, actually help these people, or there's a lot of bureaucracy and red tape that goes into this, that by the time you actually get the help, maybe you've lost the morale? So does UCD actually help?
UCD is supposed to help, and I know some farmers that have been helped. Yeah. First, they are the first years in case there is an outbreak of a strain disease. You have to reach out to UCD or to NADS. They help, but usually they help organized farmers, and it's like, I'm a UCD extension worker. I'm not speaking for them. I'm a UCD extension worker. You found me in Kampala. You're telling me about a disease that is in Masaka. I cannot understand it, and I don't have even means of facilitation to go there. Yeah. So I'll direct you to the nearest extension workers. Yeah. So when farmers don't understand, don't get to access, help within their location, they'll say, I wasn't helped. I'm just trying to imagine. And also sometimes it's easier to work with organized farmers. Let's say you're an association, then you invite UCD extension worker. You can come. You're 20 farmers, 100 farmers. Yeah. That's a bigger platform. Because they're also underfunded.
I like the way you say that UCDA is supposed to help.
They are supposed to help. Because they regulate the industry. And now with the Coffee Act, they have more powers.
I think that brings me.
That's what they have always wanted, and they have it.
Okay, we're going to get into a break right now, but viewers will come back with more, about coffee. I believe that this is a very good discussion, especially for the farmers who are out there and may not have an idea about the various things that go into, farming of coffee. For example, the diseases, then what happens after you've grown the coffee. And we're going to have more of this discussion with Owen in the studio. Stay right there. This is the Coffee Break Show on House of Talent Television with me, Ateng Emmanuel.
So I used to love the way our barista used to present his cups. For example, one day he presented some nice coffee. It was a cappuccino, very nice, presented, and I asked him, how do you make this? He said, you go to a school and study. So I used to love the passion he had. So I said one day I should learn this. So I kept on serving his orders. But I found out that most of the orders were according to the way he was feeling. Baristas present their cups according to the way they are feeling, according to the mood. In case he left home when he's sad, he's not happy, you will see the results in the cup. But when you see something beautiful, just know he's so happy. So the passion he had and the love he used to put in the cup really encouraged me to join the school. Not until I got to learn about Isaac at the Pre-Plus. Then I came with some of my friends, so we are now doing the course.
I think most female feel like being a barista is more of a male job, or being a farmer is a male thing, or being a quality controller. Yet they don't know that there are other perfect people that we are looking at. So we want to bring this gender equality into the coffee business. I would thank this the International Women Coffee Alliance. It has really done a very good job to encourage women into the coffee business.
The brew ratio is I
very
think
important.
the most important. Brew ratio now most people may not understand. It is the ratio of the coffee powder to water, and the yield. Water in this article will bring us to the yield. If I put 10 grams of coffee into my portafilter, how much of it am I exactly? So if you don't master the brew ratio,
then being eager to learn, for everyone who is out there, with the young men, every young man out there, you need to be eager to learn, because there are many opportunities there. I don't know, I've met Emma today, I don't know where we shall meet any other time. I will meet this person. So always be humble and be eager to learn. And then about coffee, I've learned, like I think I've learned that always take everything in the steps. Because if I had started with the basics, I wouldn't be back here now.
Because I knew maybe probably big hotels serve coffee. So to my dismay is that I introduced myself as a barista, and everybody was like, "What's a barista?" So I said, a barista is a specialist that makes coffee, a person who makes coffee for people to, coffee like, cappuccino, different kinds of, coffees, and people were like very green. I say, this is a big hotel. I expected to find here a coffee machine, and nobody knows about it. So it's, I think, incumbent of us to really transform this entire community, the entire country, to coffee, to learn about coffee, and also to give them the advantages of coffee, teach them about coffee, and then later on they maybe consume it, rather than just selling it.
Welcome back to the Coffee Break Show on House of Talent Television. My name is Emmanuel Ateng, and before we went for the break, we're talking to Owen Singura, about the different coffee diseases that face coffee. We're talking about what happens during the coffee growing process. And coming back to the show right now, Owen, welcome back to the show. I know we started the show on a coffee myth that, coffee apparently was used to make bullets.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. And I think now, as a farmer or as someone who's out there, it is a myth. We have debunked that one for now, yeah. And we're talking about basically the different kind of diseases that affect, coffee, and also how to diagnose them, and also what to do, for the farmers who are out there when your crop gets diseases, what you can do. And one of the things you said is that we should seek professional help. And, after getting that professional help, that opens up, other avenues to what you can do for your crop. Coming back to the show, I remember you can catch us on our social media web pages, HTV1 on our Twitter, on our YouTube, our House of Talent Uganda live stream, and also on Facebook at House of Talent Uganda. Make sure to watch the show, spread it far and wide to the farmers out there, to the baristas, to the roasters, whoever is involved in the coffee chain and the coffee process, because we need this knowledge if we are to make Ugandan coffee be at par with Ethiopian coffee. As I read in the Coffee Act, we are trying to get to where Ethiopia is, and I believe that it's a very good thing. We're talking earlier, and you told me that you went to Israel, to do your masters. Okay. First question is, do they have a coffee culture in Israel like we do in Uganda?
Yeah, they do. They are big time coffee drinkers, and different ways. There's the Turkish coffee. There's Arab coffee, that in the pot, and then you swirl it in the sun. Gets ready. You pour, and they have actually better taste of coffee than us. Yet they don't grow. I've met 50-year-olds who have never seen a coffee tree. But they take a lot of coffee. They take coffee in the morning, coffee in the afternoon. I know a guy who takes coffee and cigarette as breakfast. But the irony is, we who grow don't take.
Yeah, I think that's a big irony. So what are some of those differences you saw between the coffee culture in Israel and that in Uganda? I know you've already talked about one. We grow it, we don't take it. They don't grow it, yet they take it more than us. Okay, so what are some more of those differences that you experienced when it comes to that coffee culture in these two places? Different areas of the world, actually.
Their taste is growing towards specialty. There are specialty cafes coming up. Then the people, when they go to buy, they don't go for instant coffee. And for us, when we go in the supermarket, even the richer ones, we buy instant coffee. But actually, just let me take you a little off. Instant coffee is like a sausage. The best meat is not used in making sausage. The best meat is reserved for steak. The mediocre meat and of the red meat is what they use in rolling for sausage, because you'll not see the quality unless you've made custom-made sausage. The same thing with instant coffee. The good thing with coffee, they don't throw anything apart from the extraneous matter, stones and plastics, if they are there. The undergrades, the broken beans, the rotten beans are the ones they reserve for instant coffee, because when you get a tin of the instant coffee, you will not know that this was from screen 18. So the screen 18 and 15 reserve it for cafes and specialty coffee and fine coffee, because someone is seeing what they are buying. The aroma is there. The rest, the irony is, when it comes here, instant coffee is more expensive than specialty and fine coffee. Even the educated people, the exposed ones, they don't. It's the reverse. In Israel, people are aiming for, top quality. And they actually imported some coffee from Africa and South America. They repackage it, create private labels, and they earn a lot of money from it. Why not us do it?
It's interesting that there's this westernization effect. Okay, the way they are marketed instant coffee, it feels like when it comes down to Africa, me, the person who's taking instant coffee, is perceived as the one who has money or class. for that matter. Yet, if you went into a deeper understanding, you know, the person who's actually taking the real coffee could be considered as the person with more class in this matter. But
I won't say that people are not exposed, guys have traveled, but it's still gross ignorance.
Yeah.
But still, we can do the instant coffee from our good coffee. I remember it's Kausheng, I would say, why not use good coffee to make instant coffee, because it will be cheaper here. We can still explore that avenue as we are graduating people from instant to brewed coffee.
Yeah.
Back in the day when I was volunteering with UCDA in, you know, increasing local coffee consumption campaign, we used to hit the market and brew the coffee, but someone will tell you, why is this coffee rough? Why is this coarse? We want the smooth one.
Yeah.
I tell you, no, the smooth one is not good. This coffee is rough for a reason. Otherwise, we could have made it finer. Yeah. But the reason is, the rougher the coffee, the better the brew. Not very rough, but of course you have to, you know, hit the standard. Yeah. Again, this is scientific, that rough coffee has a lower surface area to volume ratio. Yeah. That means it will retain the aroma very fast. I want people to do an experiment. You know, open a tin of instant coffee. I don't want to mention the major brand. Open it, and also open the tin of your brewing grade coffee, the rough one, what Ugandans call the rough one. Leave it open for 1 week. After 1 week, the best thing the instant coffee will be able to do is turn water to brown. But with this brewing grade coffee, there will still be the aroma. Because the surface area is low, that means it still keeps the, you know, the fineness in it. Yeah. The instant coffee, everything will go. There's no kawo. So that's something we want to, you know, our Ugandans learn. But we understand. There are another challenge is people don't know how to brew coffee. Yeah. If they knew, maybe they would have tried it. So I genuinely don't blame them. Yeah. Brewing coffee, Ugandans, they want to brew coffee like tea. But actually, we also don't know how to brew good tea. Tea, true. Get coffee, get water, boiled water, add coffee, then stir immediately. Then the coffee will float. Then we'll say, ha! Oh, I love Ugandan products. Tiwalina class, see, all the coffee is floating. That's not, it's not how it should be. The rule of brewing, if you're brewing from a cup, it's coffee first, water. Yeah. Back in the day, in high school, when you used to do chemistry, they will tell you, do not add water to acid because it's going to burst and kill you. Yeah. So it has to be the other way around. Yeah. You know, add acid to water, especially if it's concentrated. Yeah. It's the standard rule in the lab and in my profession. Yeah. So the same thing, if you want to brew home brewing of our Ugandan coffee, the rough one as you call it, boil water, make sure it boils, put coffee first in the cup, then add the water. Then wait for at least 2 to 3 minutes. Yeah. The coffee itself will go down. You won't need to, you know, do this drinking when you're spitting.
Yeah, I think the first experience people have with coffee, like we're talking earlier, there is this. I also don't want to mention the brand, but we have coffee for 100 shillings. You know, so it's the same process. Get the coffee for 100 shillings, like you get tea leaves, pour it in a cup, and you know, we have a show on our TV station called the Creative Industry Talk. Basically talks about creativity in Uganda, and one of the shows will talk about Bubu, you know, by Uganda. Okay, and Ugandan products are seen, however good a Ugandan product is, in the eyes of the people, it's always going to be mediocre. Okay, we always say, man, these things are made in Uganda. Okay, so I think the same could be applied to the coffee in Uganda. How can we change people's perspective? Because I believe that if I say put a coffee from Uganda, very good coffee, and I brought another, let's say from the States, someone will obviously run towards the one of the States without even analyzing which one could be better. Just that the fact that this is made in Uganda. How can we change the perspective, okay, of Ugandans to actually start supporting Ugandan products, you know, in reference to the coffee industry?
So that's a good one. Actually, it's not only Ugandans struggling with that. Many countries also the Israelis think foreign is best. Yet for us, we look up to Israelis. So it's a common thing amongst citizens of different countries. You think foreign is good because it has come all the way to here, you know, champagne and all that stuff. Yeah. So, so one thing is the Ugandan people also have to imitate the standards of the competitors. Yeah. I look at coffee brands. You reach the supermarket, you look at how we are branding Ugandan coffee, and I will assure you that 90% of them are not going to cross the border to even Kenya. We have that cliche packaging of valve packs. It's standard, yes, we understand. It's standard for coffee, but you all having the same thing. Yeah. When I was at university, at the Chamber University Coffee Association, and Meiko and Haman and the members, we created a brand, but also used the same valve packaging. It's something we did at undergraduate, but you find someone has invested 1 billion, but still packaging in 1 million, 1 million kind of packaging. Yeah. We need to imitate excellence if we can't make excellent products, if we can't make excellent packaging. Get our coffee, package it like they do. I usually give an example of, you've seen how the Vietnamese pack their coffee, or the Thailand pack black ivory coffee. Yeah. This is not expensive packaging, but you just have to have the patience of understanding packaging and branding. Let me give you an example. We used to do the packaging, valve packs, put a sticker. Yeah. Take it to the supermarket. The supermarket will tell you, we are not paying you until we sell. I used to be mad. You know, Haman was our marketing manager. We used to be mad that they are not paying us. They're actually surviving on us. But after since they were taking our coffees, adding it down the shelf, you know, with other many brands of the same packaging. Then they put the foreign brands at the corner where there's maximum attention. And the foreign brands, of course, they are paying cash upfront. For us, first sell and then pay you. In the end, the coffee gets stale. Now, when a consumer comes to the supermarket, and I know many guys who don't take supermarket coffee, is that you go to the supermarket, you're buying coffee that has spent 3 months, 6 months. It is stale. Because of the packaging, and also the grocery managers have put them down in the Kayola. So if you have to attain the boo-boo, if you have to boost coffee consumption and people support our brands, we need to do top-notch packaging, world-class packaging. I don't want to talk about what we presented at the World Coffee Expo, but to be sure that no one is going to buy it, or no one will even take it for free. Because it is so cliche. This is packaging of 30 years ago. But the good news is that there are few Ugandans who are aiming for excellence, looking for that, you know, niche packaging, and they are getting markets in Europe and North America. We can do the same. That's how we're going to compete with, you know, Brazil and Vietnam.
Well, that's an interesting thing, because I've actually been to the supermarket, and exactly what you say, the Ugandan coffees are thrown somewhere down there. You know, I have a friend who does her own coffee, and she complains about the same thing. By the time you get paid for your coffee, it's stale, and you know, if I buy a stale coffee, I'm not going back to buy the same brand again. So basically, I'm on the losing side. Okay, and the foreigners are getting more and more out of us, and even that money that they're getting is not really repatriated back into the country.
It's not your money.
It's not our money. So all of us are losing at the end of the day, and it's something that we need to really, you know, do to improve the coffee industry. I know one of your backgrounds is research in coffee, and we're talking earlier, and you said, you know, in coffee research, to come up with, you know, a type of coffee takes you 10 to 15 years. Okay. And to the normal person, they think, now how are we going to wait 10 to 15 years, you know, for you to come up with a different kind of coffee? Is there one that you have come up with? Is there one that you are currently working on? And if so, could you give us some more, you know, information about it?
Oh, that's a nice one. And to an ordinary person, they cannot imagine that the coffee they are growing, someone sat a decade and more to work on it. towards the late 90s and the early 2000s, there was coffee wilt disease. It's really ravaged and destroyed almost over 50% of the Robusta coffee.
Yeah.
Now, Narrow had to sit because, you know, every problem in agriculture, the eyes are on Narrow. They had to sit and try to create solutions. And one of the solutions, coffee wilt disease is a very tricky one. I told you, you will spray and you won't control it.
Yeah.
So they had to come up with varieties that are resistant to the disease. And from that time, during the early 2000s and up to now, they have released 10 varieties. 10 coffee varieties that are resistant to wilt disease. That is KR1 to KR10.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you know, KR10. But it's not that you sit and work on one. I'm not a coffee breeder, but I've worked with coffee breeders. It's not that they sit and work on one, release it. They, you know, work in tandem.
Yeah.
Because these varieties, how much they are all coffee wilt resistant. They have different attributes.
Yeah.
And then they perform well, you know, in different regions, different agronomic conditions, different flavors.
Yeah.
Another thing is that after researchers have developed the variety, they have to take it to UCDA for scoring. Like, because it doesn't help when you make a good coffee variety, high yielding, big, and it doesn't taste well.
Yeah.
So now that's how UCDA comes in. They have to assess the cup quality.
Yeah.
And it's a back and forth, you know, years and years and years and years, and they say now this is good.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to spend 10 years on a loser product.
True.
You're wasting taxpayers' money, you're wasting your time. So the 10 varieties, in actual sense, it should be that KR7 is better than, KR10 is better than KR7. You know, theoretically, that's how it should be. But sometimes you find that KR10 has, KR7 has better attributes than KR10. The whole point is give farmers a wide range of choices to work with.
Yeah.
You know, always assess. And I actually recommend farmers, every farmer should be a researcher on their field. Use your own understanding, do your own assessments. Narrow may not reach anywhere, nuts may not reach everywhere, UCDA may not reach everywhere, like you said.
Yeah.
But farmers have to be their own researchers. Like, compare, see, this one does well, this one doesn't do well, or this one is heavier, this one is lighter, this one matures faster.
Yeah.
But why did we go the cloning way? No, the breeders realized, okay, let me go back to the biology of coffee.
Okay.
Two coffee species, Robusta and Arabica. The difference, one of the differences that Arabica is self-pollinating. By the time an Arabica flower opens, it has, you know, pollinated itself, or to pollinate itself shortly. Robusta is cross-pollinating. Now, you remember in our basic biology and science, cross-pollination is moving anthers from here and pollen from here to the stigma of the other. So you are creating variability. Like man and woman, who create a child who has characteristics from both. Now, Robusta being cross-pollinating, the fruits are going to be different from either of the parents.
Yeah.
But now you want to keep the disease-resistant top-notch. So you have to clone. So the nursery operators, the Narrow and UCD have mother gardens where they pick clones so that you have the same. If it is KR7, you're going to produce seedlings that are strictly KR7. Because even if, you know, KR7 is pollinated by another variety, you're going to create L8 seeds.
Yeah.
L8 seeds also work, but the resistance of L8 seeds to coffee wilt disease is not as high as a clone, because with clones you have true to type. Imagine they cloned you, Emma. You're going to have a kid who is going to be like you 100%.
True.
Maybe you're resistant to COVID. Just think. So we shall clone you and make many Emmas. That's it's by the way. But if you married someone, you're going to have a kid who is looking like mom or like you, or having combined traits. So the L8 seeds work but their resistance is not as strong as if they were clones. Now, most farmers go for elites.
Yeah.
Because elites are cheaper. Just get this seeds, coffee seeds, plant them, they germinate, you sell. Clones, you have to have a mother garden, you have to be certified by ECD to operate a commercial nursery, you have to clone.
Yeah.
But the upside of it is that the cloned varieties are going to mature faster, and they have the resistance to the wilt disease, and they are true to type.
Yeah.
If you like KR7, you're going to have KR7. If it's 10, you're going to have KR10. Maybe you've gotten an importer or a client who likes KR7 or likes KR8.
Yeah.
So that means you're going to give them, you're controlling your quality. That's quality assurance. Done. That your coffee is going to taste the same today, next year, and the other year for 10 years.
Yeah. Interesting. I like how you say that, most farmers actually go and buy the elite because they are cheap.
Yeah,
which is a Ugandan problem.
So Uganda, we want to take shortcuts.
Yeah.
But in farming, it doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work in farming. We're coming towards the end of the show, and we have discussed a lot of things. But as we draw towards the end, okay, we're discussing earlier about how we have different players in this coffee chain, okay? And right now the focus is mainly on the baristas, okay? And on this show we have had a lot of baristas, and I believe that most of them actually, because a barista course is 1 month, 2 months, if you want to 3 months at the most, and most of them don't have the kind of knowledge like you are talking about right now. Most of them don't know what happens in the farm apart from the theory they're given in class. Okay, so as we come to the end of the show, what word do you have for baristas out there? Because like we said earlier, you won't be a barista at 70. Okay, what can these baristas do to make themselves more relevant in the coffee chain and the coffee process, and also more relevant for their lives going ahead?
Okay. I usually meet baristas and I'll tell them you're going to be active for 10 years maximum. If you stretch it, 20 years. But you can, graduate yourself first. You've learned barista, basic barista, add more skills, but also advance to maybe quality control. Because if you do R or Q grading, then you can get a job in a private farm or a coffee exporting or a coffee processing farm. That's one plus. Another thing, if you're a barista who has a background in agriculture, you can work backwards, switching back to your profession. It's going to be good if you applied for a job, let's say quality control, and you're a barista, you have studied R or Q, and you also know some coffee agronomy. Definitely they will take you. Also, you're going to be better than someone who has studied quality control but is not a barista, because every employee wants a bigger package of you at the same price. So the thing is, if you're a barista, you're 40 years, you've overstretched maybe 40, 45, just learn Q or R. UCD has free, these are free courses. I'm not speaking for UCD, but they are free. R and Q grading, they are free. You stand a chance to get a job in the coffee industry, in growing or processing farm. But another thing, we have some people we are with who have a background in agriculture or biotechnology. I know some who have switched back to research. And again, they stand a higher chance. Because if I applied for a job with the counterpart who is just an agriculture expert, but I'm also a barista expert, I know some basic of quality control, then I stand higher chances. And I'm going to get a job. I know guys who have done that. Done barista, then switched back to research. And they're doing amazing things. Because also the researchers don't know how good coffee is. They are preparing it, but then they don't know that you can make a mocha, latte, and you can make all these variations. It's also helping the research industry. When I was still in coffee research, as an intern, our director by then banished instant coffee. And he was a new director. He was like, guys, we are a coffee research institute. Why are we taking instant coffee? Like, come on, guys. And not just instant coffee, imported instant coffee.
Yeah.
Dude, you people should be taking the best coffee because you make it.
Yeah.
You've earned it. Now, they have an espresso machine. They brew. They're enjoying.
Yeah.
You see? But to bring that vibe, it takes someone who understands coffee beyond the bean.
Yeah.
To bring that way. Now they're happy people. They were like, man, I didn't know that my variety tastes this good.
Yeah.
Because most probably the guy has made the variety and has not been drinking it.
Yeah.
So that's the vibe. And guys who are changing, the research world also.
Yeah.
They are baristas.
Yeah.
They have gone back to research.
Yeah.
The baristas, but they have gone into, because even private companies want researchers. They want agronomists.
Yeah.
The whole thing is, if you have gone into the coffee industry, you may not understand everything, but try to understand the basics of coffee from the seedling beyond the bean.
Yeah.
Even the market metrics.
Yeah.
Especially the market metrics.
Yeah.
It's important to understand
Yeah.
the market dynamics. The biggest thing in the market dynamics right now, Brazil was hit bad by hailstorms and frost. It's a plus to us.
It gives us an opportunity
it's an opportunity for us.
slide
but for
in
them.
there somewhere.
The smart guy, when Brazil was hit by frost, should have bought more coffee.
Yeah.
Because actually there's a coffee crisis.
Yeah.
So projected that 3 years from now, there's going to be a coffee crisis.
Yeah.
If you can buy coffee, buy it as much as you can because it's going to be high.
Yeah.
Sorry for the Brazilians.
But kind of good for us.
Yeah.
Well, Owen, we've come to the end of the show, but I believe that all the knowledge that you have shared in just this little span of time has really helped someone out there. Someone, the barista, the farmer, whoever is involved, and you brought to light a lot of things that a lot of people actually ignore. Okay, and I believe that this show should actually have a part 2 because
we can take it to the farm. Actually, I like it more in the farm.
Yeah, we can actually take it to the farm, which would be better. But thank you for giving us your time. I hope that next time we'll be at the farm and we'll get to know more about coffee, get to understand the different things that actually go into, getting coffee from the tree all the way to the cup. For our viewers out there, if you're a barista, if you're a farmer, if you're a CEO and you own your own coffee shop, there's a lot of information about coffee that you need to know. And this show basically gives you all that information. We want to thank you for staying with us this whole time, and we'll have another guest next weekend, or Owen will be back, or we'll be at the farm. You never know. Yeah, but thank you for being with us. This has been the Coffee Break Show on House of Talent Television. Till next time, get a good cup of coffee, and remember, Ugandan coffee is actually the best coffee out there. Have a blessed day.
there's a lot that is involved in the civil society organizations. There's leadership in itself, there's management of processes, there's management of the human resource, there's fundraising, there's research. It's a lot that needs to be done, and many times there is a feeling that is too much for a woman, because she has other traditional roles that she needs to do as at home. So many times as people are looking for leaders in civil society organizations, the priority is usually given to men, because of our society that feels that men have the time, men have the capacity, men have the ability to lead, to take this organization to greater heights. And women, there will be a problem. They will have to go to maternity leave. They have issues. They are too emotional. They have not done the courses that are good enough for leaders. They don't have time to go for extra learning, or to go for work outside Kampala, because they have to tend to their children. So there's too much that society has tied around a woman. And it's true, we have these traditional roles that we have to do, but does not in any way mean that women cannot lead in these spaces.
For me, leadership is a privilege of moving people towards a destiny. And for me, it would be towards God's agenda. That's the best, moving people to God's agenda. God has an agenda for everybody. And I know some people say, oh, it's too much of God, but God has a plan for this world. And so whether you're in business, you're a medical personnel, if somebody came to you, a good medical leader says, I want you not only to be healed, but to be healthy. That's the kind of mindset that I see, and it's about self. So if you ask me, am I a leader? By the grace of God, I am a leader, and I am growing as a leader. And I thank God for that privilege of being a leader. And who is a leader to me? It's very simple. Someone that has a vision, but is also someone that is there serving people. For me, that's a leader. Vision is where you want to take things. Serving is the recognition that if the things do not matter to people, drop them.
Wow.
Drop them. Because at the end of the day, whatever we do must make a difference in people's lives. Anybody who has had huge impact in history, in leadership, the impact is not measured by just the things they did, but what those things did for people's lives. Did they make a difference? So it's useless for you to make so much money and the money does not add value to people's lives.
Wow.
So for me, yes, you have to have a vision, and at the end of the day, you are serving people. It doesn't change. Leadership is leadership, whether it is at what we would call a lower level or a top level. Leadership is leadership. It's about influence. It's that influence that comes from you have a vision and you are serving people. So what changes is the level of responsibility, but the other one that people don't like is the level of accountability. You see, Jesus said, to whom much is given, much will be required. So the only differences there is the level of responsibility. When you're at the national level, you are now responsible for an entire nation. When you are a CEO, now you're no longer just looking at the department, you are looking at the entire entity. The responsibility has changed, the accountability even goes higher. Hi, this is Julius Potlonio, pastor at Watero Church. Thank you so much for tuning into House of Talent Television. It's a great, innovative way of doing TV, and particularly for being a part of the CEO bench, talking about leadership. You know what, friends? Leadership can be tough. Leadership can be lonely, and the dynamics of leadership keep changing. I want to encourage you, watch the CEO bench so that you can get to hear real practical tips on leadership from people who are actually practicing leadership. Once again, thank you for being a part of the CEO bench right here on House of Talent Television.
My name is Dr. Jinpo Olowo. Thank you for watching House of Talent Television. I love to inspire people. I love to talk about my experiences and how God has been able to use me in the different exposures. And through the leadership, through change management and transformation, I've been able to do a couple of things in my life. Now, are you a kind of person who is tired of your status quo? Do you want your situation to change? Are you tired of what is going on in your life? You know, change is a fact of life. We've all been through experiences in the last couple of months that have taken us to a place where we need to do something about our lives. We need to change whatever is going on. So if you have not piled up investment for yourself, you need to do that. If you've not done businesses to hold your family in future, you need to do that. Are you thinking of full-time employment? You need to be thinking about your life after employment or your business in the next couple of years. So if you want us to chat, if you want us to talk about this, please get in touch with us at theceobench on number 0772443085, or check our website www.theceobench.com, or on all the social media handles. You can hook me up or Facebook, that is Jinpo Olowo, on Instagram, Jinpo Olowo, and on Twitter and LinkedIn. Then we can chat a way forward with you. We can help you, we can coach you, we can walk with you this journey of financial freedom. Thank you.
What is leadership to you, JP?
So for me, the leadership, I would say there are different components, but the most important is the art of knowing people.
Yeah.
How you know your clients, how you know your associates, your colleagues,
Yeah.
and all the different stakeholders that are part of the business. How you know your bosses, your investors, how you know the key people that bring you business, the key relationship you must have in a market in order to make sure that thing goes smooth.
Yeah.
So I think this requires an openness of mindset.
Yes.
And I would say that for me, the fact again that I have two cultures, I live in different places, it helps a lot.
Okay.
You find similarities, of course. If I see how Ugandans are and how Brazilians are, they are not totally alike, but there are a lot of similarities.
Yes, yes.
If I see how a French person is, or a German, or an American, they are very different.
Yes.
And difficult people. Yes. I know by the French side, because I have my French family. I work in France. I work with French companies.
Yes.
So I learned how to deal
Yes,
with this.
yes.
And so and now, especially this past years working for Sheraton Group, it's more like Anglo-Saxon approach of,
Yes,
of
yes.
hospitality.
Yes.
So this also, so all these dimensions are very important. So it's knowing people, knowing the culture, the different generations you deal with. It's a very important.
Yeah.
It became more and more because the gap between generations have changed.
Yeah.
I would say, or I mean, people that analyze the market trends,
Yes, yes.
how things go. Before, a generation gap would be 10 years.
Yes, yeah.
Now it's shorter.
Yeah. Sylvester, let's talk about the multilingual. I mean, this is really a very great piece of work. You've talked about multilingual, and we've seen a girl there singing in Lutoro. That's the first time I've never heard of a rapper in Lutoro, in that language. So yeah,
no, I know. Actually, she was rapping in no, that's
Runyoro.
That's Runyoro.
Runyoro, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
Runyoro,
yes.
Yeah, but it being a multilingual platform, it has also introduced us to, languages, more and more languages, because it's an expression of culture. So people come with different languages. For example, like the first time I had Kumam. Do you know that there's a language called Kumam?
Kumam, yes, yes.
Kumam,
yes,
but
it's between Teso and Lango, yes, yes.
But it's a tribe of like they have a small population.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So that was the first time I was like, wow, what language is this? And she said there were two guys, they're Kumam. Yes. And they featured on the 2015 album.
Yes.
And it was sounding so nice that you're forced to ask what language it is, you know, and it was so nice. Then there are some languages, you know them, but you've never had someone, use them in a song as an expression, like Lugisu, like Kejong, and so many others. Yes, others who've grown up listening to them, but we've never had someone, using them in a rap song. So it has been an eye-opener even for us as organizers, listening to different, expressions in various languages. So we welcome everyone, to express themselves freely. And Faisal Chwewa, the director of Baimba, the first time he had Big Ben, one of the participants in the 2013 Boot Camp. He had him rap in Lugisu, and he thought it was a language from South Africa, like one of those languages from South Africa. Like it was sounding so nice. Yes, yes. It was like, wow, you know, what language is this? Is this from South Africa? You know, so that's how it is. It has been an interesting journey as well. That we're discovering these languages. We know them, but we know it's a different way when someone uses it in a song as an expression. It's a very good feeling.
Welcome to the Creative Industry Talk this week. My name is Eddie Okela, and returning on the show from the break, along all it a break, is a resident panelist, is a creative mind, is the founder and artistic director of Baimba International Foundation, a cultural foundation here promoting culture, art, and music all across the world. We all know Baimba, and of course we all know our brother from another mother, Faizo Chiwewa. Welcome back to the show, and of course, Happy New Year. Happy New Year. 2022, we are here. Yes. First of all, how was your holiday?
It was great. I had a lot of fun. I went mountain climbing.
Okay.
So, and I enjoyed it. A bit of snow and relaxing.
Okay.
So I'm totally refreshed.
Yes. When you say you went mountain climbing, was it at the State House in Lunkulu because it's an island?
Lunkulu has no mountains.
You could have been climbing the trees, the tall trees in the place.
No. I was somewhere in Italy with family, so we had some kind of like holiday.
Okay.
And it was amazing. Yeah.
Oh, great. Welcome back from the break, and also we want to take the opportunity to welcome you to 2022.
Yeah.
It's just the 10th day of the year of our Lord, 365 days. We've only done 10.
Yeah.
Yes, 11.
We're already worried.
Yes, and we're already concerned.
Yeah.
Well, but on a lighter note, I want to take opportunity to welcome every single one of you guys out there to the program. This is the Creative Industry Talk, where we get to discuss everything about creativity and everything about creative thinking, from the music, art, entertainment, culture, and of course creativity springs across all of that. Okay, marketing and communication is all creativity. And of course, today's topic is very interesting. But first, I want to welcome all of you guys from all across the world. Edwin, welcome back to Uganda. You've been watching the show all the way in Germany, but now you're in Uganda. You can actually catch up with Faizo Chiwewa, when the show is over, and, have a word with him in Kampala.
Is he vaccinated?
Yes, I think he's vaccinated because
he's
in the country at the moment. That's a big fan of the Creative Industry Talk and Helder's Wisdom Circle. And of course, I want to talk to you guys out there who are watching the show from all across the world, either in the US, in Australia, in Germany, in Cote d'Ivoire, in Congo. We have got some guys in Togo. We've got some guys in Ouagadougou. Man, the Creative Industry Talk is going places. Some guys in Kenya, watu wa Kenya, niaje, Tanzania, habari ya leo, okay? And all of you guys who speak Kiswahili, welcome to the program. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Please go there, subscribe, and be part of the family growing bigger and better. Subscribe to that there on the screen. and then be part of the family. Faisal, we want to start the show from a very lighter note. The president addressed the country recently, and he said that Uganda is finally, you know, going to be free, and the creative arts schools opened this week, and of course they're going to be, you know, going back to business after 2 years. The creative minds in the children were dead. I think they could not think anymore because COVID, they've been in a lockdown for this long. So we are grateful that Uganda has finally opened and kids are going back to school. And also he said that the art and culture industry or creative industry can finally now go back
on the 24th.
Yeah, the 24th, and particularly the music, performing arts, and of course the theater and drama, and all the things are now opening up. What does this really mean, but you know, to the industry?
I think it's really a very good, you know, opportunity. Of course, it's been overdue. I wouldn't say that the arts have been completely, you know, silent. People have been doing a few performances, not all the art forms, but a few have been in operational, not officially off the hook. But now, at least now that it's official, so we can easily start planning our, you know, our calendars and our events. Actually, we've already set up our first event on the 5th of February. So for those who have seen it, so you'll be happy to join us and celebrate the birthday of Bob Marley on Luklo Island. So it's going to be fascinating with all the SOPs and trying to keep the numbers low. So this is what it means, that people have been really eager to get out to start planning, and I think this gesture of saying now he has officially opened the industry, it's really good that now we can start thinking on how we are going to engage.
And talking of that, Faisal, I want to take you to the first question of the day. Of course, I would like to ask the team to first put the questions up on the screen, the topic on the screen, so that everybody can check in out. We're talking about the challenges of 2022, 2022 challenges for the independent creative art scene. And when we talk about the independent creative art scene, what does we mean? We're going to talk about it. I want you to join into this conversation and send us your kisses and disses, send us your comments, and we'll be able to talk about it. What are the challenges that you see that is coming up, and of course that we can look into and have a discussion here? But first I want to take you straight to when we talk about the independent creative arts, what are we really referring to from that point of view?
Yeah, I think the independent creative arts is where you find individuals like you and I, you know, who are really hustling on their own, trying to make ends meet, or trying to create work, or trying to develop their skills, or trying to, you know, be part of an industry that they are who they are as artists. So the independent art scene is really, we look at like filmmakers, we look at you know, musicians, we look at theater practitioners, playwrights, you know, and then there is the independent. These are the, you know, individuals who are doing things off, like, without rules. They don't follow anyone's rule. They don't. They're just doing what they love, and they're not really being guided by principles or whatever. But they just want to do what they love. And then the non-independent art scene is really, you find the, you know, the legal, the policy, the government, the social culture of the arts, where like government institutions or foundations that are really working with you know, a pool of grants and support structure. But the independent art scene is really like, you find individuals like who are doing their work, and they're trying to survive, and they're trying to make ends meet, at the same time doing what they love.
And on that note, Faisal, when we talk about these independents, what are we looking for from these independents? I mean, you say they don't usually follow the normal rules that are set in place. They are creative. What makes them so unique to the industry?
I think every time, you know, most of the time, it's always important to have a free independent art scene, because that's where most of the independent art scene is there to challenge the normal, to challenge the status quo, to give you a different perspective when it comes to arts. Most of the artists, sometimes they are independent, but they're not actually independent, because there's a lot of you know, fatigue when it comes to censorship, self-censorship. So you find people who are supposed to be independent are not actually, because they are worried about, if they are too independent, then they might not be able to survive in the market. And also, if the market does not understand what it means to work with the independent or appreciate, even in the rest of the world, when you go to places like Europe or America, you find that the independent art scene is always struggling. It's always called the underground. You know, they're always like, you know, we are trying to make ends meet. They're earning little. They're creating small things out of their own pockets. They're really, you know, struggling, and they don't easily get funding because they don't have like official or professional structures like institutions or registrations, organizations. Some of them don't have bank accounts. So they are really like doing things off the book, but they're doing what they love. That's the most important thing. So giving such artists an opportunity to express themselves the way they should really gives an opportunity to the industry to kind of test a different aspect of the arts, the way they are presented.
Wow. Yeah. Well, we are talking to Faizo Chiwewa right here about the 2022 challenges that faces the independent art, you know, creative minds and in the art industry, in the scene of creativity in Uganda. What are your says? What are your thoughts? What do you have to say? What kind of challenges do you think, you know, they face in 2022, and how can we, you know, talk about the, you know, solutions to this problem? We're going to take a break, and when we come back, Faizo and I are going to dive deep into the question of how do we make this better. Stay right there. We'll be right back after this. This is the Creative Industry Talk.
So, distinguishing prose poetry and drama.
Yes.
This is an academic question.
Yes.
So let me just be frank with it. So we have literature. Literature can easily simply be defined as the creative expressions of a given culture, of a given people. And it is normally done through writing, through singing, through speaking. Now, literature is that creative expression that focuses on the written word. As you hear the word itself, literature, literate, you know, meaning to write. Now, we are going to restrict ourselves to three things. So we talked about prose, talked about poetry, talked about drama. Now, prose is that kind of creative expression that is more elaborate. It is more elaborate. So if you're reading a novel, if you're reading a short story, if you're reading a biography, you know, that falls within if you're an essay, that is in a form of prose. Now poetry is more rhythmic. It is briefer, and in most cases we use a lot of descriptive and colorful language. So if you look at a novel and a poem, what a novel can say in 200 words, a poem can say in 1 page. Now, those are the differences between the poetry.
That's the difference between these.
Yes. Now, when it comes to drama, the way you hear the word, drama is language in action. Language in action. So drama is that kind of written literature where you capture characters talking. But from what they talk, for you the reader or the listener, you can infer what is taking place. So drama is always takes place when characters are either talking to themselves or they're talking to others.
Welcome back from the break. My name is Eddie Okela, and this is the Creative Industry Talk, where we discussed everything about creativity in Uganda and beyond the borders. Of course, we will have to start from here, talking about the creative minds and talking about the things that affect the creative industry in Uganda. Today's topic is about the challenges of 2022 or 2022 challenges that faces the creative industry or the creative art scene in Uganda, the independent creative art scene in Uganda. We have those independents and we need them, like Faisal said, and they need to be part of the show and a part of the conversation going forward. Faisal, welcome back to the program. Yeah. We left at the point when we were talking about what do we refer to the independents, and you've talked about. I want to ask you my second question, which is, now that government is actually opening up and we now know who the independents are, you know, is opening up the performing arts to operate? Do you actually think that you guys who are in the promotion of art, particularly the music, you know, the drama, and the what I would call the performing arts in general,
even the visual,
the visual arts in general, who are ready? Do you think you're ready to engage people once again after 2 years or 2.5 years of no activity brought about by COVID-19?
I think the advantage of the lockdown and the past 2 years has been, like, most of the creatives, whether they are independent or not, have been engaged in a process of creating content, and I'm curious to see what's going to come out of this now that we are free to start working. I'm sure everyone is going to be ready to prepare to present something that they've been working on. So I'm not really worried about if there is content. I think I'm very worried about who is going to present it, because most people have actually, not maybe actually, have really moved on. Yes. I mean, they realized that they were chasing a dead horse, you know, and they were like, you know, we are not going to survive. 2 years of not working, even trying to mitigate the, you know, life. Now that they are, you know, they have started some jobs. You know, if you have a job that is 9 to 5, you're not going to start, you know, going for rehearsals or going to dance in a studio. And what are you going to eat if you go there? So I think my biggest worry is about who is going to be presenting the content, whether it's dance, whether it's theater, whether it's music, whether it's film. Okay, film is different, but I think there are certain art forms that are independent and they really need an effort for someone to be able to present it. And I think opening up without any support structure to help these people get back into the market, it's going to be really, really difficult. So for me, I think that's going to be the biggest challenge.
Okay, so when you say there are certain art form that needs really, really support, and there's some that needs to, what are those, you know, can you highlight some of them that needs to?
Yes, I mean, when we're talking about, like, the independent art scene, we are talking about some of the independent artists I know, and they are the most challenged one are the contemporary dancers. The contemporary dancers, first of all, contemporary dance is very, very new to the industry, to the market here. And even when they have been working over the years, you know, dancers like, you know, Jonas, like Julius, like Oscar, have been really working hard to really cultivate their audiences. And they have been not really managing to get them, you know, to fill up the auditoriums. And now that they are back, they need a lot of time. They need at least 6 to 8 months to prepare a production, and which means that now that they don't have money and they're opened up to start, they needed someone to, you know, or they needed some kind of like a support fund to get them to start, so that they can be able to prepare their work to present it to the audiences.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what kind of support are we looking at here?
Money, of course. I mean, it's money. I don't think, you know, there's anything else. Maybe also space. Space is also an important thing, because some of them need space. They might have time and they might have money to survive on where to stay, but they definitely need space to rehearse on.
Before I go to the next question, Faisal, I know you're talking about something very important, and I know it's coming from a genuine point, but taking case in point in Uganda here, where coming out and saying we need help in this kind of area has always been termed as opportunity for somebody to take advantage of you and to control the way you think, particularly from the artist's point of view, where you think. Artists in Uganda, because some of the musical artists ended up in politics, and so it has complicated the situation of help and money in Uganda, that now when we talk about it, the artist is seen and feared art, particularly from the music point of view and writers as these guys, we had not thought about the power they hold, they will, until they went into politics where they are not supposed to be. And now they're becoming more and more prominent in that space. So the traditional political operation and thinking and ideology, when an artist come out to say we need help, it's instead an opportunity for them to squeeze them more and to say, hold this one here, give this one. How are we going to move forward?
I think it's a challenge on both ways. For me, I mean, there are people who are independent and they don't seek, you know, how do you call those? Envelopes. They don't seek, they don't go begging, you know. Of course, there is another way of begging. Like we go to organizations, we go to foundations, we beg, yes. But this functional begging, whereby also the givers make it difficult for the people who are being given to feel like they are being supported genuinely. So for me, it will be very difficult to convince myself to go and ask government for support. It will be very, very difficult, because I know the moment I do that, I would have made a choice. They will say, you chose a side. You get what I mean? I love my independence. I love to be neutral. I don't do politics. And I can't go for political money because it gives me a feeling of like I am not honest with myself and I'm not honest with the principles of my work, so I can't go there. Yet there are others who feel like they don't have a choice. They have to go for it. And you can't blame them, because if there was a structure which could say like the government, as a government, not the parties or the politics, but the government has the way it does for other institutions, that if you want money, you go to this institution. And that money, you apply for it. If you are genuinely able to receive that money, you get it like anyone else. But there isn't that structure. So they resort to shortcuts. And these shortcuts are not really sustainable as well.
Yeah, I would like to think that the structure is there, because we have a ministry of creative that is responsible
but it's not.
And then we also have another one, a duplication of that under the Presidential Roundtable Initiative to help the creative industry. It has a huge document which I read last time, and then whenever you try to look for the people who are actually really that you should look for in the creative industry, you can't seem to find who is responsible. One time I reached out to Amos Wekesa and I was saying, but Wekesa, you sit in this, committee. Can you please tell me who are the people representing the creative arts industry? Because there's a document. And Amos said, let me look around and see. Up to now, Amos has not yet given me who they are. But yet when you hear awards happening in Uganda, we had a recent award where award was organized in record time in the history of the world. Uganda has an award where it was organized
Let's
in
not
2
talk
months.
about our friend.
Yes.
No, he did a good job.
No. I'm talking about.
He did his best.
There was a group of people that came in to work with that artist. It's not an artist. Artist had the award, which was going to be given, but the effort was not him. It was. I would like to think that there was a group of people that came in to help artists. And also that was an initiative to say, as we're opening it up, we want to appreciate a certain group of people in the art industry. And the award was given out. My issue was not because the award was given out. My issue was that the artist actually seems to have been squeezed. When the award came in, they couldn't even think about the process of sustaining the big award. So you see, that's what I'm saying. They squeeze them out, and yet you're saying there are structures. And I would like to think the structures are there, because the Ministry of Creative, there's a Ministry of Culture, Creativity, and I think whatever we're
gender
and something. Yes. But then there's a roundtable initiative. Presidential Roundtable Initiative on creative arts industry, where they're actually saying we need to start regulating this industry. So that structure exists. But is it genuine?
No, I think the challenge, as we say, the challenge with our politics, and I will not say the challenge with our ministry or whatever, it's all politics. And I think there hasn't been a genuine effort to make to have a vision that everyone is contributing to. And that's really the biggest problem. You cannot start putting up round tables and whatever when you don't know what they are going to do. And I've had this conversation with the the commissioners, and I told them, what this country needs is to halt some of these processes, because you're spending money, but you're not really understanding what you're spending money on. Let us first halt and see what do we need as a country. Give ourselves a year and assess who is there. What does Faizo do? What do we spend all the money that we spend on? Why are we building Lunkulu? No one has ever come to ask, why are we building this area? But then when they see that, oh, Faizo has bought this island and is trying to build a space, they also say, let's also go, let's find 10 acres in Mabida. Maybe we can put a building there and call it a film studio. No, that's not what this country needs. You need to sit together with all your stakeholders and identify the loopholes, the opportunities, the challenges, and then you can mitigate them together. It's all our country. And every investment that we are making, we are putting in money, you are putting in money. If we put it together and we know, if I'm spending 400 million, like, in 2018, I spent over 500 million on arts education. So if that money was redirected to go to the right people, and the ministry could also say, okay, we need to, for me, one of the biggest problems I find here, now that schools are open, is that we don't have arts teachers. And I've told these guys, like, we don't have arts teachers, and we have a whole curriculum that could help them to teach people to learn how to teach art in schools. And they are like, no, it has to go through the government. I understand. But what is your effort to make that happen? Because you know very well that kids are going to go back to school. They're going to be learning art as you're pushing it to be part of the curriculum. But there is no one who is able to teach that curriculum to the kids. So why don't we work together? We have the content, we have the curriculum, you have the people, the teachers that you have who don't know how to teach. Then let's work together to teach them. And this effort is when someone has a settled mind, when someone has a very interested developmental kind of concept and a shared vision that I want to work with other stakeholders to take this place forward. So when we look at the independent artists, when we look at the supported social artists, when we look at all these business people who are doing it, everyone is doing everything on their own, including the government. So that's a very bad situation. And it's going to take a long time to get out of it. So what we have to do as a people, for me, I just do what I need to do, what I think is right to do. And I don't want to wait in that line, waiting for them to wake up. No, I do what I'm supposed to do, and I work with those who are open-minded, and then we see where we can go. Then the rest who come along next time, they'll pick it up from there.
Wow. We're talking about the 2022 challenges for the independent creative arts scene in Uganda, creative artist in Uganda. My name is Eddie Okela and Faizo Chiwewa, and this is the Creative Industry Talk. And of course, we want to hear from you. What are your views on what Faizo is talking about? What are your views on the stuff that we're talking about here? You can send us your comments either on Facebook or YouTube, on Twitter. We are live on YouTube at, of course, go to House of Talent TV studio, and please subscribe, share far and wide if you're a creative mind. And of course, we are live on Facebook, House of Talent Uganda. Go there, send us your kisses and disses. Tell us what you want to hear, what you want to hear from us, and also your views, because you have views. You're a creative mind, you have views, or you think you know somebody in the creative industry who is struggling, and they need help. You can share those views, and we can give you some tips here on how you can go about it. Now, before we go for a break, Faizo, I want to ask you my next question. You're talking about funding, and you talk about the president says we're going to open. The country is going to open come 21st, and everyone is looking forward to it. I've known artists who are already working on their art pieces. People are working on opening up for exhibitions, and the visual arts sector is opening. I visited. Senson is busy with a lot of stuff. Senson, the whole gallery was about COVID-19 and mask. I said, hey, Senson, man, what's going on? He says, well, this is what we're selling at the time.
There's a lot.
And I said that I felt a bit hard that Senson, with all his creativity, was zeroed down to only thinking COVID, because that's all that was there. And I understand where Sense was coming from, because he has to survive. He has to do something around the situation surrounding the circumstances that are prevailing at the moment. Yes. But so when I went there, they said, no, we're now opening up. And I visited, I'm yet to visit Paulo Kiki or Juicy Art Gallery. These are the big top names in this industry who were totally not working. And I want to see what they're coming. So many of them are coming up with a lot of stuff that is going on. But my question to you is, Faisal, do you think there is enough funds to start to open up, first of all, for artists and you know, from promoters like you and programmers like you need to tell us this because you are in that space. And number two, are there any support funds for the independent arts industry?
I think, to be honest, there's not enough fund because there's no, I don't want to look out to the diaspora, you know, where I say, okay, let's go to Europe and America to look for money. Those are extras. Those are really favors. Like when we get money from Europe or America, those people are doing us a favor because they're giving us their taxpayers' money. Like we have our taxpayers' money here and we decide to give it to these people who chase us off the road every day with sirens. What are they?
Police.
Those no, these guys with government cars.
Yes. Oh, the government workers.
So it shows.
Servants.
It shows where our choices are. We are not. I think for me, if you know, if government was serious, and I really don't want to drill into what government does and what they don't do, but I think if they were serious, they would have said, okay, we're going to open up these guys, but how are we going to help them to kickstart their, you know, their lives? Of course, they will say, oh no, but we had money from Gulu, we gave them money, every, I don't know, group, or they had groups, associations, we gave them money. Yes, that money was given, but that was for helping them to go through the process that they are not working. But now they are starting to open up. Many people have their theaters or spaces, you know, they are like the schools. They are all, you know, deteriorating. They don't have space where to go. Some of the costume, the technical people, like I was talking to Rasby the other time, and he was saying me, all his cables are eaten up by, you know, they are rusted. You know, he has to invest a lot of money in revamping, cleaning, and setting up his system again. So how is he going to get money? How is he supported to be able to get back on his feet? I think they should have done that. The way they have done, to think about the schools and give them 1.5 million each school to start, to invest seed money for COVID only. I don't know what else. I saw it on the news. I don't read that news that much, but I saw that they gave each school 1.5 for COVID, you know, whatever. They should have also said that, you know, the industry is open now. Who are there? Because what did the Americans do? What the Americans did is that when they realized, and they opened up, like not like us, I think it was after like 4 or 6 months, they set up a website, a government website, and they said that if you're a stage manager, if you're a DJ, if you're a programmer, if you're a dancer, the whole of Broadway, they say, okay, sign up here, give us your details. What do you do? How much were you earning? So that we can know. They get a rate. They're not going to give you all the money that you've been earning, but at least they have an idea of the range of your salary. And then they give you something to help you kickstart your new life or when you're opening up. So I think the funding, and I would like to focus on our own country here, how things are being looked at. We are seriously not being considered to be relevant. And I'm not saying we are the only ones, because I don't think the education industry sector is also considered. I don't think the infrastructure is considered. I don't think anything is considered here except security. So I really think we need to rethink how we support our people, because the whole reason why many kids are going out to work in other countries, and that's why we're going to have a lot of problems with the artists going back to stages, is because there is no hope for them. There's nothing for them. And someone rather goes to work in Dubai and earns 1 million a month than being here and hustling every day to walk from the National Theatre to the tax park. You know what I mean? So the funding structure is not there. And if it's there, it's politicized. So it's not genuine. So if it's genuine, or if it should be genuine, then there has to be a plan that is going to be set up to help the people. We have to start to think for the people. We can't keep on doing this, you know. We can't continue always doing things because out of, you know, ad hoc, they call it ad hoc, you know, today there's a problem, you put money. It has to be thought through. And I think this is what we are going to be facing. So the independent art scene is going to suffer a bit till they get back on their feet. They have been suffering and they're going to continue till their audiences are back, when people are already, you know, settled in, because the minds are challenged. People are scared. You know, everyone is worried, like, should I go back to the theater? If I go back to the theater and then I take COVID back home, you know, the artists, the programmers are like, where do I start? I have a festival now next month, but how am I going to finance that festival? Because if I call an artist today and I want to program you, they will tell me, okay, I'm coming, where's my 50%? You know, I don't have that capital. So these are the things that we are starting to be challenged with, and it's gonna go on and on till we get ourselves back together. And I think for those that will survive, will have had the audacity to take that step. And that's a very challenging and a bold move, that for us who are saying we are opening up, whatever it takes, we are going to go with it. It's a bold move.
Wow. Well, this is the Creative Industry Talk. You are watching Faizo Chiwewa there, talking about the 2022 challenges that faces, you know, an independent creative mind, independent art scene in Uganda. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, Faizo and I will discuss the last question of the show, but also we'll be picking comments from you on Facebook, on Messenger, on Twitter, on YouTube, and we're going to sample some of them here. Please keep them coming, keep the kisses and disses coming. What are your thoughts when we're talking about the challenges of 2022 that faces the independent you know, art scene in Uganda? Are you an independent artist in Uganda? You have challenges. How are you going to mitigate these challenges going forward, now that the industry is opening up, you know, for people to interact with their with the followers of the art in every art form in Uganda, in the creative space in Uganda? What do you have? Stay right there. We'll be right back after this break. This is the Creative Industry Talk. Who is Ras Kasozi, and what is the meaning behind your name? If I'm watching the show from New York, from you know, Vancouver, or from Egypt, and I don't know you, or even from the northern part of Uganda, you know, from Barara, from Tungamu, from Kasese, I don't know you. Who are you? You know, and what are the values that define you as a person?
Basically, I'm an African. Like Ras, R-A-S to me is African. And then Kasozi is my indigenous name, meaning I'm from Ngabi clan. Yes, so I'm typical African. Yes, from the Kamwe Muganda, basically. Yeah. And
which part of Buganda? Oh, yes.
I come from Muduma. Yes, Muduma. That's the PG side. Okay. Yeah. So with the purpose of...
Is that the central part of Uganda?
Yes, central part of Uganda.
Yeah, please go on.
Yes, I'm coming from a central part of Uganda. Yes. Uganda, yes. And I have a purpose of living. I got an opportunity to know why I live. Business-wise, I make clothes, but why I'm on earth is I nurture possibilities. Okay. So my purpose is so much into supporting the youth, spreading the talent I have, teaching, yeah, through love, magnetic, sharing ideas, and also self-confidence.
Welcome back from that break. This is the Creative Industry Talk. We are on the final part of the show today, and of course my co-panelist and the programmer of the program itself is Faizo Chiwewa. We are talking about the 2022 challenges that faces the independent art scene in Uganda, and independent artists in Uganda is wrapped right there. Edio Killer, Faizo Chiwewa, that's what we're talking about. I want to take you straight to Faizo. First of all, welcome back to the program.
Thanks.
I want to take a moment to read some comments coming from different people here, and first one coming from a man called Jesse Kakoza. Coach Jesse Kakoza.
He needs to come and do some
dancing. Yes.
Yeah?
Come and do some dance. These are the creative minds we're talking about. It says, gentlemen, greetings and welcome to 2022. Thank you very much, Jesse, for being a part of the Creative Industry Talk going bigger and better. We honor you as a creative mind. Jesse Kakoza, there is a coach, a dance coach in Uganda, and is a battle champion, eh?
He's done a lot of things. I think he's one of the most amazing creatives we have.
Yes. And he's a dance battle champion from way back in the days. And
from the old sessions. He used to choreograph those sessions.
Yes. And then when he went to Europe, he came back as a dancer. So he's always been in the space.
Actually, he's also one of the few Ugandans who have experienced Europe and came back home to do something useful.
True. I want to read another comment here. It says, Edio Killer, thank you very much. Coming from the messenger right there. Too many messages on the messenger. Guys, we want you to make the messages coming and the comments public so that we can see. One of the biggest problems that the creative mind faces is us speaking from the solitary part or space of our life. Artists, creative minds, please come to the public space and speak. You are as good as everyone else who speak in the public space. All right? And also, we want you to see your comments in the public space. So if you send a messenger, there are too many. Sometimes we want to be able to see it out. But I want to read this one coming out. Edio Killer, thank you very much for the show. My name is James, and I'm watching the show all the way in Congo. I live and work in Congo. I'm a Ugandan. I was in a creative space before, taking pictures, but man, things became hard. I had to sell my camera and joined, employment. Otherwise, I couldn't survive. So I have been in Congo for the last 1 year, and I hope that one day I will buy my camera and get back to work.
Where is it?
For some UN in Congo. Yes.
Okay. Congo these days.
Yes, you are talking about the creatives leaving the space, and this is one of James is talking about it. I have another artist here says, hi, thank you very much, gentlemen, for the show. I like the fact that we're talking about the challenge that faces the creative industry, but also it was good to hear the president talked about the industry opening up. For first, I think Uganda suffered quite a bit because a lot of the people in the industry were open. Of course, we know our case. Bobby Wine brought all this problem on us. But I want to thank you guys for this show. My issue is that, like Faizo said, many of the creative minds are now leaving the space because it was too long to survive. It was too long to find something to continue keeping your family. Personally, I have been a documentary photographer. There were no documentaries going on. There were no documentation going on. So I had to branch into another form of art to try and survive. And right now, I am doing a playwright for NGOs across, outside Uganda, in Kenya, and in Tanzania, and is working for me, and that's how I'm getting it. Otherwise, if I'd stayed in Uganda, I wouldn't be making money. But kudos, guys. I hope that one day I will come back to documentary photography. For now, let me stay in writing.
But do you realize this is some of the things that we are talking about here, that you cannot imagine the number of Ugandans in the creative that have left this country because they could not survive. And they were seeking new pastures. They were really they had to find something to do. And whereas the politics was focusing on one individual, the rest of the industry was going down, just like the education system. So I really think it's something that we really need to, I don't know how we're going to do it, but we need to really face the reality and understand that we've done some real damage. And we need to really take the responsibility to reinvest, to rethink how are we going to bring back this industry.
And I see this one, Pfizer, and it says, Edio Killer, thank you very much. I'm a sound engineer, and we had invested quite heavily in the sound space, in the sound industry for this. We took loans to build our equipment, to build a system, and the whole idea was that so that the Kenyan, sound suppliers did not come and take over the market. But I think COVID came too fast. Many of us had loans.
Is that Elvis?
I won't say the name, but I took off from Uganda. I'm leaving and back to Cheyo in the US. You know me. Don't mention the name, but you know what I'm talking about.
I think I have an idea. Let's keep there.
It's good, of course. My brother there, I know what he's talking about. But my issue is that Eddie and Faizo, what the show is talking about is very important. I wish all the creative mind in Uganda can actually support this program going forward, and they can subscribe it and make it fab, because it's the only platform we have to work. I was a big name in Kampala, but loans took me down. I had to take off from Uganda and come back to Cheyo. I'm now in the US building all over again because there was no support system and structures to help us. My entire system went down. When I hear Faizo talk about Rasbi Sali and the cables and what, I feel the pain of Rasta as a sound engineer, as a sound investor. I wish luck to those who are going to continue supplying the industry. For me right now, I'm moving into other forms of art, but let me first settle and pay my loan. My property was taken.
People are going through a lot.
This is a big person who is now left the country. Of course, we won't mention his name, but this is a very important point of discussion, Faizo, to just actually make people understand.
And all these people are independent.
Yes.
They're independent because they take on things that they love to do, and they feel their contribution is that not for just their families, but they're contributing to the industry, to this country. Because if someone takes on a loan and they say that I would really want to build a sound system so that we don't have to always go to Kenya to hire equipment, go to South Africa to hire equipment, let's have it here locally. They are employing people. They are creating jobs. They are really developing the skills of the people. They are paying taxes and all these things. And then you find them going all the way to the wall. To the point of leaving the country to go and work somewhere else. It's really sad. And there is no one who knows about it. There is no one except him and his family, I'm sure. And there is no one who has any plan for such industries, for such people. So I really think we need to, it's not my responsibility. I'm an individual, and I also have my hustles, to be honest. I have my share of burden that I take on. I don't want to carry everyone's, but as a people, as a country, we need to be aware of what is going on and have a plan for it. Otherwise, we're going to go down the drain.
Exactly. I want to read one more coming up from another brother from another mother. Eddie Killer, thank you very much for the show. I had to run away from Uganda to South Africa. Again, like Faizo has said, and like my brother has said, that the part of the industry that suffered the most are people who invested in the sound system to help improve the sound of Uganda and to help improve the musical scene in Uganda. I think we were a target. That's what he's saying. I think we were a target because looking at the situation we have gone through and the way the banks came after us to take our properties and there was nowhere to salvage the situation. I've been reading Uganda saying that they have put aside money to help people in small and medium enterprises to bounce back. But even that, when I tried to get my brother in Uganda to try and see if they can get this funding that government is talking about to come out, it was more complicated. It's more of lip service to the industry than the reality of things. No money has been put aside, and if it's put aside, only a few people who support the system like Balaam and the rest are the ones who keep getting the same money. So the industry really need to wake up. I know we don't have an industry, it's a structure right now that needs to be built and a sector. But I'm speaking from South Africa. I had to leave Uganda and come back to South Africa where I was based and start all over again. Now, I am learning movie sound, and I want to become a sound engineer for movie because the musical investment that I put in is a waste of time. And I wish everyone in the music scene success, but they are not going to move for as long as the people in the government does not respect art and look at art as a form of competition to them. We're wasting time. Also, the structures are put in place. People like Balaam and a few other people who just come in. I'm reading it here. It says people like Balaam who come in, says who have proximity to the powers that be. Instead, they who even hand from music and promote music. Sometimes when these challenges come,
they are supposed to be able to tell the people in authority that, look, this is where I also earn my money from and support. But instead, sometimes they also manipulate the system. I respect them, but they earn from the system, the music industry, but they're also the same people who don't support the music industry. I'm being honest. I hope you can read my comment on the show, because I've sent comments before on TV and it's never read.
Okay, I think, I understand personally. I really understand the frustrations of all the people. I am, some of us are more and always frustrated, but we try to keep a smiley face. And everyone has a lot. If you start inviting people to talk about the challenges they face with the investments they make here, you will be overwhelmed. So it's really true. And I really think, as they say, they need to be considered. There is a need to really, find out how do we all take part in this shared responsibility. How can we all have a shared vision for our country? I'm not talking about politics. Now, in the arts, in the creative industry, how can we grow it together? How can we share the pie or the cake that is there, so that we don't grab everything to oneself? When I see people mentioning names and saying this one takes the thing, I have no problem with those people. But I think also, if other people are there in the market, then they should be given an opportunity or even thought for. We can't always keep things in one side, one side.
In fact, I have one very interesting person. He says, Eddie Okela, thank you very much. I like what Faisal is saying. I think for me, the comment that has come from a Ugandan guy based in South Africa is key. I think it's important that we start to come together and engage the people like, Balam, who would mention people like Bajo, people. These guys have earned money from the industry. The serial killers, when the CRBTs came and took process in Uganda, artists didn't have the rights to their music. People like the late serial killers and many others made a lot of money from artists. This is because there was a lot of ignorance from the artists themselves, and the structures around the artists themselves did not support making money. Now, the promoters like Balam and the likes came into the scene, and they have helped the artists to get to a certain degree of professionalism and, putting in them and organizing them. But I think right now, we don't have an industry. The name of your show could be very misleading.
No, you have to be hopeful. My teacher told me that if your dream is too small, or if you achieve your vision, then it wasn't good enough.
He's saying that the name of the show?
We want to be an industry. We want to be an industry.
I agree with you.
And we hope for that. So let's do whatever we can.
Exactly. And so he's saying that, but I also understand where you're coming from. So I think that we should have started with the creative sector. But now that we have a creative industry talk, maybe this can lead to a creative industry sector meeting together with all the people. I strongly believe that if you sit down, the brains within the industry, sit down with the likes of Balam and all these guys together, we should be able to come up with a good and formidable, path for the industry to move forward. However, yes, I agree that some of these guys have made a lot of money from the artists and the artists. It was disheartening for me to see Chameleon on his knees begging all these years, the greatest artist Uganda has ever seen. Among the ones that have gone like Philip Bongole Lutaya, but the one that commercialized music in Uganda, kneeling down, I cried that day, and I think for me, I felt the Chameleon was dead that day.
I think it's okay. For people to express, but I also think it shouldn't be like you're putting the weight and the blame on someone. I wouldn't put a blame on Balam. Why would I? He's also a businessman. He's trying to figure out how to survive. And if you're not, if the industry is not competitive to reach to the way he does his business, that's his style of doing business. And there are people who have come before him. We know them, and they were all doing the same things. So why should I blame Balam? Why should I blame Chameleon? We all kneel. We all kneel. I don't kneel because I'm not allowed to. But your
culture allows you people to kneel.
Yes, but I'm not like I don't kneel. I'm a Chihuahua. I don't kneel. So that's a fact. So I think if someone kneels for something, it's fine. That's the expression, because sometimes I don't think Chameleon thought about what he was doing. But he was in a moment. He was in a moment. He was excited, and he felt in that excitement at that moment. His expression was to kneel. So what's wrong about that?
Yes.
I don't think we should make an issue. But
Yes.
but I mean, going back to our topic.
In fact, I have my last question because that time is up, Faisal. Yes, going back to that, Faisal, I'll have a question for you. Are the professionals still there, or are there many who have left the scene going forward, left their jobs?
I think we've had
I'm talking about the professionals
Yeah.
within the creative art space, the independent, in vis-a-vis those who are within the structures, who are doing things within the institution, like National Theatre and all these other places. Are they still there, or they have left? Because we're hearing a lot of people saying,
I think if someone was working for the National Theatre, they are not independent, and
And
they
that's a national
can't,
structure,
and they can't leave because they're paid. And whether they are working or not, I don't know.
But theatre also wasn't working for so long.
Yeah,
so
but they are paid.
Yes.
They are paid. They are like teachers. They were paid all through.
No, don't say teachers. Teachers didn't have money.
Some teachers were paid. Not all of them didn't get paid.
now that you
But
talk about
I think what is clear is that if I had a job at the National Theatre, which I would never do, I wouldn't leave such a job.
Why would you say you never do?
Because I don't want to. I want to be independent. I want to do what I want. No, honestly, you can't do what you want when you're working for government. It's never happened unless if you are in a government that is really clear on values and systems and democracy. But it's not possible here. So I think for us, for the independent professionals, as you've heard from the messages in your messenger, people have left. Many people have left, so we are going to struggle. And I told you here before, I have a very good friend who is a dancer, and he sent me a WhatsApp message one time with a catalog, with a menu, and I'm like, what? Is he thinking I'm KFC? Or I'm like, I don't eat KFC. But then he was like, oh, Faisal, you can actually order and I will deliver to your house. And I'm like, you started this thing? So this is where things are. And he earns more money than what he used to earn when he was an artist. I don't think he will continue giving more time to art than what he's giving to his business. You get what I mean? So we've lost so many people, and it's really going to be hard, as we said at the beginning, how we are going to keep up with presenting this content when it's not able to have the people who are there to present it.
Okay. Faisal, that said, I just want to bring us to the last part of the show. What would be the takeaway, and how prepared is the industry come, the day of us going public, to start? How prepared are we in 2020, which is when the first, couple of days of 2022 and the industry is going to happen? Is the creative arts industry in Uganda ready to go back commercially and start to provide service? Because the industry feeds on entertainment. Work without play is very dangerous for the health of a human being and fitness. And if you're talking about the stress levels that are brought about by COVID-19 are quite very high at the moment. And we need the art industry to actually open up these doors. Are we ready to take up the challenge? That's the last question as we end the show. And what would be your best advice to an artist out there from a programmer point of view?
Yeah, I think, we are not new to this situation. I mean, I don't think the arts have ever been supported in this country. They have been supported from others from outside, but in this country, the arts have never been supported. So we've never, I don't remember, as long as I've been in this business for the past 16, 17 years, I don't remember when the government was there to give money. So it's something that we are used to. We are immune to the fact that we don't have anywhere to run to. And let's not get confused with what was been happening in Gulu. That's unique in itself. But knowing that there is a structure where people get support to do their business is not a new thing, that it's never been there. So we have to learn to continue to do business the way we used to do it before. We have to trust ourselves to invest more. And actually, we are going to invest more, because now where the challenge in investment is going to come, besides getting back to revamping our systems and equipment and all that stuff, and putting security to spaces that we are using, we are also going to add in the issue of
even people are stuck in their own ways. For people who have had a chance to, say, work out of the country, you're dealing with people from different backgrounds, different cultures. Their view of the world is different. You know, you cannot change that. The best you can do is get into that space and find a way of navigating through that.
Okay.
So I don't believe that what I've learned necessarily is going to go into, say, a big organization like Stanbic and change it.
Yeah.
If it may guide me along the way in terms of how to navigate, in terms of how to influence the leaders of that organization, but not necessarily kick the front door and change everything. In fact, I think that's disastrous because you might just end up going backwards. So I think for me is allow yourself to learn from the environment and then adapt and change from within.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of time we see people, Daniel, who go into organization and just start changing, and you find people flying from this organization to another and says, man, the new boss who has come,
correct.
I can't stay there.
Absolutely.
And this happened.
Absolutely.
Is it they themselves who are a problem, those who are running away, or actually the bosses come and want to change everything? Have you ever been in an organization and people have viewed you like that? And if yes, how were you able to deal with it? If not, had you learned these tricks before going inside there so that when you arrived, you are more warmer to people than more, you know, cold to other people?
Yeah, I think in most cases where, and we've seen this, even in Uganda, where a CEO comes and tries to change everything overnight and the organization suffers. You lose your talent, the good people leave the company, they go to other organizations, you know, your numbers start going down. It's a no-brainer. The good ones are the ones who quickly realize, oh, this is different. I need to adapt. I mean, I always hear people who have worked in Tanzania. Tanzanians are different. The way they do things at their pace and how they
shift and move things,
relate among each other is very different.
Yes.
So if you come with your speed and you know, and forcefulness, you'll get a culture shock. They'll edge you out slowly in their nice way. Before you know it, you've left the company. You know, I remember earlier back in our breweries, we had similar people who used to come from South Africa at the time. Because Africa is obviously very fast-paced. It's about push, push, push. And a lot of them suffered. In fact, a time came when they said, you know what, this thing is not working. Let's empower now Ugandans. That's how you guys came through. Yeah.
Be an image for women out there who are doing something, who are struggling, and to tell them there is something better. I want to be part of working with organizations that are supporting communities to grow, community organizations like Bosco Uganda, local organizations to build their capacities, strengthen the institutions so that they continue to do the great work they're doing out there. So I want to be a part of that. So I thank APC, I thank Horizon 3000, the organization I worked with, the Austrian government through the Austrian Development Agency. I thank Accenture, I thank Notre Dame University. I thank UNICEF, but the UNICEF did a lot with Bosco Uganda to reach out to schools. So I am a woman who wants to ensure that whatever we're doing, we are counting for results. That every intervention we do must transform lives. And we want to ensure that people are in the driving seat. The communities, the young people, the youth, that they are on the driving seat. So designing programs with them. As we go out to do studies, get their views. So what we did is to go and actually listen to the different, how do I say, actors, players in the whole ecosystem of health, from the district health officers, biostats, in charges of facility, sub-county chiefs, they now call them SAS, you know, the patients even, to get their views. So it's so important that we get the views of the people and the change that they want to see, so that we define that change process and be able to work towards what we want to see. So you asked many questions, so I hope I am answering it. But I really believe that as a woman who wants to see my children and all other children, I'm really so passionate about young people, children, women, men, who working together, whether it's at the family level, work together. Why do you fight? Put your efforts together, put your resources together. I have seen families where the man is working, the woman is working, but it's only the man who is spending the money in the family. What is the money of the woman doing? Why not work together? Because together you can go far. But if you stand as an individual, you're going to fail.
What is Divine Bamboo in a nutshell?
Okay, so Divine Bamboo is an innovative forestry and energy company. It's a Ugandan company, and our mission is to stop deforestation in Uganda. We do that through the promotion of bamboo as a sustainable alternative to cutting down traditional hardwoods. So that was my motivation, really, because Uganda is losing so much tree cover. We are losing so much forest because mainly of the need to cook. So because of fuel wood in the form of charcoal and firewood, a lot of people don't have a choice but to go to the forest and cut down trees. And so we wanted to provide an alternative to that.
Okay. And so when you started to provide an alternative to this, how has this been received by the people that you're talking to?
So of course, with any new innovation, it's not straightforward. You don't get the idea today and then the idea is mature. First of all, the idea, the business model takes time to develop. And in the same way, the audience, the customers also need time to adapt to the new products and like the new plant in this case. So it's a gradual process, but I would say that we are seeing very positive change.
Okay.
People at the moment are struggling to understand the older generation because times have changed. Technology has come in.
They've moved on.
Yes.
We're the ones sitting back and wondering, what is my child on to? TikTok has surpassed WhatsApp. The other one I call, I never call it Facebook, it's Bookface. Why are you on Bookface? Dad, it's Facebook.
Yes.
Me, I keep saying, I have a foot amongst the millennials. And I understand the traditionalists.
Okay.
There's a song in the 60s, by the way, and the 90s, 70s, where they're like, parents don't understand. Yes. Remember Prince?
Yes.
Prince.
An army of sheep led by a lion will beat an army of lions led by a sheep. That's a pay. Yeah. So let's be very honest about this thing, and really understand that you need to understand where you lie and where you fall. So it's very important for us to understand that leadership has to be definitive. You can't be laissez-faire. It has to be definitive. You have to be strong, just like a lion. You know, when a lion meets an elephant or a buffalo or whatever, the buffalo and all these animals run away. And yet, by the way, they are stronger than the lion. They are heavier than the lion. They are more intelligent than the lion. They are taller than the lion. They run away. The lion, because of its attitude, it sees lunch. That is a leader.
Mr. Tony Trav, thank you very much for coming to the CEO bench. And I want to ask you, so if you were elected the President of the Republic of Uganda today, what would be your first State of Nation address now as you look into the camera and close the show?
I think my first State of the Nation address would first of all to... I think I'll just close it down.
Has tested our hope and faith as individuals, families, and the country at large. Besides destroying many aspects of our lives, the novel coronavirus has also affected our human rights in many ways. You and the Law, the COVID edition, is a 30-minute weekly television program that focuses on the impact of COVID-19 on human rights in Uganda. The program engages experts to explain the importance of rights-based approaches to the success of any public health response to ensure the respect, protection, and fulfillment of human rights amidst the challenges presented by COVID-19. You and the Law, the television program, brought to you by Legal Hub Uganda, taking the law to the last mile in proud association with I4C Africa Hub and House of Talent Television.
There were so many interventions that were put in place. Many of them were rushed, as usual. But I believe this is a learning process for everyone. We have now adopted technology. Like I said earlier, it has been piloted in Kampala. You know, with people appearing via video link, lawyers making their submissions online and things like that. But this needs to be rolled out beyond Kampala.
Yes.
You know?
To Bukedia.
To Bukedia, for example, to a person in Napak, in Kitgum, you know, some of those remote parts of the country.
Yes.
Now, but if we must do this, roll this out to some of these places, then it again calls for government investment.
Yes.
You know, for purpose of the infrastructure, because the technology alone, you know, attracts other costs.
Yes.
To do with, you know, the money to pay for, you know, for the service providers,
data,
you know, training of the lawyers, you know, to utilize the same, and even if you train the lawyers, remember that whereas lawyers at the forefront of issues to do with access to justice, or among the four court users, the law also allows an individual, for example, to file his case on his own. So how do you cater for a non-lawyer who is willing to file his own case and argue it in courts of law?
Hello viewers, welcome to yet another episode of You and the Law, the COVID edition here on House of Talent Television. As you should know by now, You and the Law is a program that is dedicated to unpacking the law, making you understand the concept of law, explaining to you how the law relates to your everyday life, and generally ensuring that we live a life that respects, that fulfills the requirements of the law. Today, in this edition, we are discussing COVID-19, which has been a series that we're doing under this program. How has COVID-19 affected our lives? Specifically,
how has it affected our human rights? And for this particular episode, we're talking about the effect of COVID-19 on the right to access to justice. What does access to justice mean to you? How has it been impacted by this virus? With me in studio is none other than Mr. Manuel Elao, the lead attorney at Legal Hub Uganda. Emma, you're welcome to You and the Law.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
How have you been? It's a tough time.
Well,
pandemic hovering over our heads. How are you keeping afloat?
Well, the position has never changed. It's always been hard. We have never been considered essential workers this entire time. So as lawyers, I believe, just like the wider population, we have suffered together because we were all locked up at the same space, so nothing to do.
I mean, we talk about the law and the work that you do at Legal Hub Uganda. Maybe you could just throw in one or two lines really about, the things that you do at Legal Hub.
Thank you so much. Legal Hub Uganda is basically focusing on enlightening the people or educating people on issues to do with law.
Yes.
Because one of our slogans is that we want to take the law to the last mile.
Oh, in this country?
Yes.
So quite ambitious, eh?
Yes, so whatever that takes, we are willing to put our lives on the line to ensure that the last person in this country at least gets basic legal information, and that's what pushes us as Legal Hub Uganda every single day. Yes.
Later one I seated here.
Yes.
By mistake. Yes. Yeah. So today we're talking about access to justice. I know that most of the work that you do focuses on enhancing access to justice in this country.
Yes.
But I thought we would start by understanding what access to justice is. How would you explain it? I mean, in You and the Law, we emphasize that we want to make the law digestible to any person.
Yes.
A border rider, teacher, or farmer, anyone. So how would you explain access to justice in the most basic of terms?
Well, thank you. Access to justice has three words, access, then to, and then justice.
Yes.
Now, justice, when we talk about justice, we're talking about how people, resolve their disputes. Because in everyday life of any ordinary Ugandan, whether as a natural person, as a company, or anything, you realize that at any given time, you're likely to have a dispute.
Yes.
Whether at the family level, at your domestic setting, or in business, in employment, or anything. Yeah. It could be land, could be anything. So, if we're talking about the justice issue, justice is applied to the disputes that people have. Now, access is the means, to resolve those disputes, the everyday problems that people face in the legal sense. So how to resolve those disputes, is about the means. So that is what access to justice is about. And as you know, the means of resolving these disputes could be formal or informal. In certain instances, you have the formal structures which have been put in place by the government.
Yes.
And that includes the court system, the LOCs, and many other tribunals that people could take their disputes to. So if it is tax issues, we have the tax appeals, tribunal.
Yes.
If it is electricity, we have other tribunals in place, and many other aspects of life. So that is the formal justice system. And so people who interface with the formal justice issues, formal justice systems in place, will tell you their different experiences. And some of them will tell you not very good stories. Some might have good stories, some might have bad. But I believe the majority might have very bad stories to talk about the justice system, especially depending on who you talk to,
yes,
which is the majority of the Ugandans.
I mean, that is sad coming from a court user like yourself.
Yes.
Emma, what are the barriers, if I'm to ask, that impede people from being able to access justice in this country?
Yes, thank you. If you talk about the barriers, there are quite a number of them.
Yes.
To me, I believe poverty is a very, very important factor in this. I'm aware that last minute did a research, especially to do with access to justice. If you're able to, you can look it up online. And in that discussion, they emphasized the poverty and its implications on access to justice. Because a majority of the Ugandans are living under $2 a day. Yeah. Some might say it's about $1, others might say it's $2 or $1.50. Now, if you were to calculate that money across the 20 working days that we have, That means that people are earning between, probably less than $100.
140.
Yes. Now, if you're earning such monies, and you must approach a lawyer, for example, because the Constitution says that under Chapter 4, fair hearing and all that, equality, it talks, you should be able to access a lawyer when need arises. And if you're unable to, then the state should do so. Now, let's talk about a person who is willing to hire his own lawyer.
Yes.
Because he thinks the government-sponsored lawyer is maybe inefficient. If he's to consult a lawyer for an hour, he needs to pay about $300,000, because the regulations in place that talk about remuneration of lawyers says you should pay a lawyer $75,000 for every 15 minutes.
For every 15 minutes?
Exactly.
75,000?
Yes.
So 1 hour is about 300.
That's 300,000.
Yeah.
And like you may have seen in different instances, at least for a lawyer, if a lawyer is to interact with a potential court user, say a litigant, he's able to ask and know that from this person I need to ask him A, B, C, D.
Yes.
These are the relevant facts, this is the relevant evidence that I need, and so he's able to interview. But if a client is allowed, or a potential litigant is allowed to tell a story, say it is a divorce case, this person will start with how they met many years ago, how the relationship went, how they decided to get married, the wedding, honeymoon, that entire story. By the time you're done with the story, it's about 4 hours.
Yes.
Now you calculate 3 hours, 300,000 times
1.2 million.
That's 1.2 million. Now, how many people in Uganda can afford that kind of money to pay to a lawyer?
I don't want to be down to give the statistics because they are miserable.
Exactly. So many do not. In fact, even people who are elite, based here in Kampala, the focus should not necessarily be on the people in the rural areas. Even here in Kampala, people cannot actually afford.
Yeah.
That's why you see, and because of that, you find that some lawyers have also resigned.